Hello, 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 everyone. How are you doing today? Just wanted to say hello, see how everybody is doing. This is going to be my first live ever for my webinar of self doubt. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for doing this for you above all. And just real quick, I got a couple of computers going on here, so I'm going to be looking back just to make sure that all my technology is working great and that everybody can hear me. So, if anybody can hear me and all that good stuff, just give a thumbs up if you can and just say hello. Tell me where you're from, tell me what's going on, all that good information. So there we go. Yeah, so I got tons of water here, so I hope you brought some water or something to drink with because this is going to be just an awesome thing. I know a lot of us struggle with self doubt, me included. I mean, there has been so many times in my life that I have just racked my brain about all this self doubt, all this bullshit smack talk that I talk to myself about certain things. So I know this week one is going to be about describing self doubt, it's going to be about breaking it down and we're just going to talk a little bit here, talk a little bit about what it is to you, what it feels like to you, and all this other stuff. And that's what's up. I'm just going to make sure that I am. Technology's good. Yes, technology's good. Describing self doubt, it's going to be about breaking it down. So there you go. You can hear it. Talk a little bit about. You can hear it. You can see me. I got everything going on here. So let me just try and minimize that. And all this other stuff. Minimize that. Go over here. I'm just going to make sure that I am. Technology's good. Yes, technology. Perfect. All right. So, you guys, please leave comments as you go. If not, I hope that this resonates with you and this serves you well. I am just a low key, I like to just have conversations, have a nitty gritty. But before we get started with that, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. So, I'm a life coach, a transformational life coach about mindset, breaking down habits, creating new habits that serve us. I'm all about energy, the law of attraction, and what we put out in the world, we get back. And I solely believe that if we could just take small steps to get to where we would like to be, then everything will be so much more beautiful and so much more happier. You know, I was raised up on a chicken farm, come from a divorced family, some child abuse there. I had abandonment issues. We're also going into 24-year career and being in the United States Navy and that process of how it is as not just a woman but a gay woman. And so all those struggles. So you can just imagine all the times my eyes would open and I would wake up and self-doubt would just immediately flood. So let's describe self-doubt. And again, if anybody comes in, just, chat where you're at. Let's just have a good time, a good conversation here. So this is all about us, all about learning. So self-doubt are thoughts and feelings that might occur from our own actions. Now, when I say that, I mean that there's things that we do, and don't think you don't, because we do. There are times where we do things and we're like, ugh, because in your gut you really shouldn't have done it in the first place. In your gut maybe that may have not have been the right thing to say. And that's okay because anytime we have these things, these are lessons that we can learn from. And that's the greatest growth that we can have. Self doubt also comes from thoughts and feelings from other people, from judging us, or from us wanting to be so perfect for them. I know, raise your hand, give a thumbs up if you are definitely a people pleaser person. I think we all have gone through it one time or another in our lives. And that's okay too. Sometimes these things happen, and they will happen. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. This is just where, when we break down self-doubt, right? We know that sometimes self-doubt can also come when we're focusing on one's own ability, our own ability, and feeling insecure about it. But above all, self-doubt is a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior that turns into a habit. And that's what we've created. And I mean, did you know that anxiety and worry are the physical manifestations of self-doubt? I mean, we have that worry all the time, especially right now in our world. The anxiety, the worry that happens, and then the oh my gosh, can I do it? Can I not do it? I mean, 9 times out of 10, when self doubt shows up, our next action after that is to avoid, to ignore, and to judge. And that's okay too. But you have to sit down at some point and say, do I want to be this way? Do I want to continue this? Do I want to continue this learned behavior? Can I change that learned behavior? And that answer is yes. You can definitely change that behavior. And we're going to break that down throughout the week. Now, it's going to be a great 4 weeks. And I know some of you can come in, some of you can't. Some of you will watch the replay. And whatever way it serves you, I am grateful that you're here. I am grateful that it reached you. I am grateful. And my gratitude for you is just overwhelming in the sense that you took the time to be able to look at this and see and reflect and just give it space and give it time. All right, so let's break it down, right? So, breaking down self doubt. So, the potholes of thoughts that we have all the time, come from what I like to call is a riding on those 4 H's, right? Hesitation, hiding, hypocritical, and helplessness, right? Or helpless. When self doubt shows up, what do we normally do? We hesitate, right? We hesitate to act. We have that fear. We hesitate to say something or do something because we don't know what's going to happen, because we're utilizing experiences from the past to tell us what we're going to do in that present moment. So that's the hesitation part, right? That's the breaking down of self-doubt. The other part is hiding, right? How many of you, listen, I'm here ya, where you see somebody coming that you know you're going to have a conflict with, or something might go wrong and you're like, ooh, let me go the other way, right? That's a hiding. You're avoiding certain people, places, or things that again, from past experiences, that doubt, that habit you created is going to be there. We talk smack to ourselves all the time. There's a reason why we have sayings and phrases out in the world. And a big part of that is because they're true. There's this big saying we had in the military when there was a safety policy. The reason why the safety policy was there is because somebody messed up and got hurt. And that's why it's there. And I think there's also that phrase of like when we talk about things and we're like, oh my God, I would never talk to someone the way that I talk to myself. And that is so true. Like, why do we do that? Well, that is the self-doubt. That is the behavior you have taught yourself, and it has grown into a habit. So when we're talking smack to ourselves for having self-doubt, we're being hypercritical on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the why do I always overeat? The why do I end up screaming at my kids or at someone else? The why do I never do anything for me? Or the why I just like the feeling of like I hope they liked what I did, or I hope they like that. And that comes in with confidence. And we'll get into confidence a little bit later throughout the month. But at the end of everything, how you feel is helpless. Because once again, you have allowed the self-doubt to boss you around. Now, I know that word allowed is pretty strong, and it can be. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, when these things happen, we are allowing it. We are the ones who are causing all of this chaos, all of these thoughts. And again, there's 70,000 thoughts that happen to us a day. We can't control all of them, right? And who wants to control them? But what we can do is reframe. And sometimes when we have self-doubt in that habit. So it's about when we break it down and you feel that self-doubt coming up, I always say befriend it. And we're going to also get in that throughout the month too. But befriend self-doubt. Think about self-doubt in the sense that it's going to become your friend. Like, hey, thanks. Hey, self-doubt. I can see you're showing up today. Thanks so much. Ask yourself these questions. When did it first show up for you? I know for me, it showed up, oh my gosh, I think I was like 8 or 9, right? And it just continued from there. Because when it showed up, I then at that moment allowed the definition that someone was giving me to define me. And that caused a lot of self doubt. That caused a lot of hesitation, a lot of hiding, a lot of hypercritical, and a lot of helplessness. So ask yourself, when did it first show up? Find that single moment when it first showed up for you. And where did you feel it? So when self doubt comes for me, the first place I feel it is in my throat. Totally in my throat. It's almost like I clamp up. It's like I can't even speak sometimes. And that's where it shows up for me. So where does it show up for you? And when it does show up and come to the surface, where do you hold it? Where do you hold the energy in your body? So, like I said, when I feel it in my throat, the surface of where I hold it is right here. I hold it in my chest. I, I hold it in my chest because there's so many years of self doubt, so many years of thinking I was worthless, and so many years of allowing other people to not see the true me. And so ask yourself those questions. And then, would you say that you have control over your self doubt? Now, we touched on that a little bit about thoughts, because really, self doubt is a feeling that comes from a thought. That's it. It's a feeling that comes from a thought. And sometimes when we have that way to control it and we break it down, like I said, you befriend it. You say hello to it. You say, how are you doing? What's going on? How can I help you today? Or self-doubt, I ain't got time for you today. Because sometimes when self-doubt comes up, there might be something there that says, hey, you need to slow down for a minute. Slow down. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people say a way to get rid of self-doubt is to have confidence. And a lot of people, they use that thought of confidence as like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to tackle it. I'm just going to get on that thing. And when they're saying just, they're trying, right? So we have to understand that confidence comes from the choice to keep trying. And self-doubt comes from the choice to not to try at all. And those are the choices that we can make to be able to get through it. There's going to be so much wonderful love that comes in this month of self-doubt. And I truly wanted to give so much into it because I know a lot of us struggle. I have so many clients right now that are struggling with this, groups, individuals, myself, people that I'm around. There are struggles out there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, oh, yeah, I have self-doubt. Not at all. I think what we have to do is break it down. Describe your self-doubt. Think about those questions we just talked about earlier. When did it first show up for you? Where do you feel it? Where do you put the energy? Now, a lot of times when we have that self-doubt and something's not working out, we put it onto other people. We start screaming or start judging or start, reacting to something, to our self-doubt, instead of responding to our self-doubt. Now, let me tell you the difference between reacting and responding, okay? So my philosophy on react and respond is that whenever something like this happens and you have a situation that's going astray, the self-doubt is coming in, you're starting to get angry or feeling frustrated or feeling anxiety or feeling that worry, those feelings that come up. How do you the reacting to it is just letting that feeling and that emotion just take over. Reacting is like, if you're feeling angry, you're getting angry, right? And so forth. But when we respond to something, we take that small second and we think, okay, how am I going to respond to this? And trust me, I practice responding at least 300 times a day because I have a 7-year-old, and that's just plain and simple how it is rolling down. And so think about that whenever you're breaking down your self-doubt, and you hear it come up and you know it's popping up for you. And then think about those 4 H's we talked about, the potholes of thoughts, right? The potholes of hesitation, hiding, hypercritical, and helpless. Think about those as you're going through your process as well. And understand that, you know, as we said before, as I said before, and we talked about, self doubt is an atmosphere that we're given it for a fear of rejection. We overthink and then we begin to doubt ourselves, right? And so by disrupting that thought, by disrupting and reframing that self doubt that pops in, you'll be able to say, okay, let me describe my self doubt. And we describe it in those 4 questions. And then after that, ask yourself, how can you respond better for yourself to go through that? And that's, my friend, is the first week of self doubt. And I am loving every second of it. Okay, so in the next following week, we'll be diving into your story, your excuses, and your thoughts. And it's going to get a little bumpy. There's no doubt about it. But I offer you no bullshit approach to breaking this down and to balancing out self doubt so that you can be in control. This is going to be heart-wrenching. This is going to be thought-provoking. This is going to be excuse finding. This is going to be mind balancing and tool building that will transform you. You will begin to learn to dissect your patterns and transition them into positive habits. You will learn to switch the old way of thinking into a growth mindset that sets your path beyond anything that you've ever seen to becoming the warrior that you know you are. I can't wait to go through this process with you guys. I am looking forward to it. If you're catching the replay, put some comments in there. Let's talk about self-doubt. Let me know what your answers are for those 4 questions. Listen, guys, this is a private Facebook group. Only you can see these. Only we together in this group can do this. So what are those 4 questions for you? Let's write them down. When did it show up for you? Where do you feel it? When it does show up, where do you put the energy? And would you say that you have control over your self-doubt? I mean, that's a serious question to ask. Because sometimes when we think we know, we better be sure we know. I am so grateful you came a part of this, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this journey for you. I am wishing you all the best in the entire world. And until next week, comment below. Let's chat. Let's get it going. Let's finally take self-doubt. And when it pops up, reframe and become friends with it. All right, guys. Until next week, I'll see you then.